Welcome to Girl Dad, the podcast, the essential podcast for fathers navigating the complex but rewarding journey of raising daughters. I'm your host, Madeline Anderson, and I'm thrilled to bring you honest conversations with dads and daughters, sharing heartfelt stories, actionable advice, and real daughter perspectives that will help you be the best girl dad you can be. Halle Puzzitiello, welcome to the podcast.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks, Maddie.
Thank you. I'm so excited to have you on, and I know you have so many incredible memories and stories with your dad, so I'm sure this will be a really, really impactful one for the audience. I would love if you could just begin a little bit by giving an intro on you and your siblings, the family dynamic, etc. So feel free to just kick it off.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. My name's Halle. I'm one of three daughters. I'm the middle child, and I definitely have middle child syndrome. But I have the most amazing girl dad. I'm so excited to talk about him today. But a little bit more about me. I met Maddie when I was living in Los Angeles. I was there for about 5 years. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio, where I was born and raised. Lived in LA for a few years, and then I just moved to Austin, Texas with my husband, and I work in fitness. I'm a certified personal trainer, and I will be opening my own gym here in Austin, which I'm extremely excited about.
So exciting. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but so proud of you and so excited for all that's to come.
Me too. Thank you.
Of course. What is one memory with your dad that you'll remember forever?
Oh, that's a tough one because there's so many. I think a memory that is more top of mind because it was more recent is my wedding. And I think it was such a special day for both of us. And it was a time that was very emotional, very challenging in some ways. You know all about this, Maddie, because you were one of my bridesmaids. But
Yes.
my wedding had to kind of get replanned in a matter of weeks after Hurricane Ian completely wiped out my wedding venue. And as a bride, of course, I was extremely emotional and distraught and struggling with all of that and making some hard decisions on how to move forward. And I think just the journey of going through that and my dad's, being on the phone with me for hours, just trying to help me through it and figure out where to go from there and coaching me up through it. And the whole process of getting to that actual day and then being there and how special it felt to just have him by my side, walking me down the aisle and, doing our dance. And even when I watch back, my husband and I watch our wedding video every anniversary. And when I watch back, I'm like, I can't watch his speech fast forward because I will break down every time because it's like my soft spot. But he gave the most sweet speech and it was just incredibly kind and thoughtful. And then it was also really amazing and special to see him genuinely enjoying himself and letting go and just having the time of his life, which is not something he does often. Not because he doesn't necessarily want to, but because it's just not high on his priority list. He's a busy guy. And, he was on the dance floor, which I don't think I've ever seen him do. He extended the DJ for an hour and kept the night going longer. And it was such a highlight. And it was just a really special day. So I think that was my most recent favorite memory of my dad. Yeah.
That's an incredible memory. And yeah, I feel fortunate to have been there for that.
Yeah,
and
you got to witness all of that.
Yeah. And I can attest that his speech was incredible. And he just, the love that he has for you was so evident that day. I mean, I'm sure it always is, but just the way he looked at you with so much admiration and care. And then, yeah, the 1 more hour at the end of the night, I'll never forget that. Because The
He was
dance
the
floor.
hero of the night.
Yeah, he was. I mean, the dance floor was probably the most electric dance floor I've ever witnessed, first of all. And then when the DJ is like, that's it, sorry, we had a great
Last
time or whatever.
song.
Last song, yeah. And then you just see your dad like go up and like, he's making some deals, he's whispering, he's gonna make it work. And then it's like, we have another hour. And then everyone just went wild and it was
The
so fun.
crowd
But
goes wild. That
yes. But your
was
dad knew,
awesome.
like, it was such a special moment. It would have, like, cutting it out at that moment it just didn't feel right. So he's like,
Yeah.
let's keep this party rolling.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, that just was the cherry on top of everything else that he did for you for that day.
Yeah, it was epic. It was amazing.
Oh, alrighty. Well, I would love to think a little bit about growing up and kind of evolving into the woman that you are today, the amazing woman that you are today. And I would love for you to chat a little bit more about how you would describe your dad's influence on that person that you are today.
Mm. Well, my dad's taught me a lot, and he's always been there to listen. I think growing up it's really special to have someone that not only is there to talk to you and be with you, but to really seek to understand you. And that is something that he always did in many different ways. And that's something that he's kind of taught me is like the importance of listening and understanding. Um, but he's also taught me a lot about just life in general, and he's so wise. Like he gives me like John Dutton vibes. Like he's just has all the wisdom and one-liners, and he's just been through a lot of life, and he's just taught me so much along the way, especially about work ethic. And I've never seen anyone work so hard in my life than he does. And still going strong over 60. Like he's still staying up to 2 in the morning working at his desk. I think he's working harder now than he has ever in his life. And it's beyond me. I don't know how he does it. I don't know where he gets the energy. Um, but despite that, he's always found a way to make time. So, he's always making time for his family. He's making time for the people that are important to him. He's making time to do things that he loves, to take care of himself, despite everything that he has going on. And I'm really inspired by that about his just his ability to handle so much, but then still come home at the end of the day, sit at dinner, and be so remarkably present. It's really amazing. So he's been just such a great example of what hard work will get you. And it's definitely something that he's taught me a lot about.
Yeah, that's a great example. And I'm actually so glad you brought that up because I think that a lot of dads struggle with work-life balance. I think most people struggle with
Mhm.
work-life balance, right? And this is something that I talk a lot about because I think there's this pressure for dads to like work less and spend more time with the family when really a lot of times that's not realistic for the dad.
Yeah.
And I don't want dads to feel guilt or, remorse over the amount of hours that they're working. And so being able to be present in the time that you do have and really dedicating some special one-off times with your family can help kind of like make up for that
Yep.
time spent on work. But I also think that even just the way that you spoke about that reminds me of how I feel about my dad. I find it really inspiring.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be this negative that like work is taking you away from your family. I think that the more that you can use it as like an inspiration and a teaching lesson and make sure that your family understands why you do what you do and what you love
Right.
about it. Yeah, then it can be really positive if your dad works a lot. Um,
Right.
so anyways, I'm really
And it's
glad that you
always,
brought that up.
Maddie, it's always about quality versus quantity. I mean,
Absolutely.
if you can take ordinary moments like at the dinner table or in the car, my dad used to drive us to school in the morning. If you can take that 20 minutes and make it into really meaningful quality time, I mean that makes a world of a difference.
It
It's
does.
not about being able to set aside 3 hours every night for XYZ. It's about really sitting down and being present, putting the phone away, listening to your kids, asking questions, finding ways to make ordinary moments more fun and exciting. Like my dad, when he would drive us to school, like he would play us his favorite music and talk to us about it and ask us what we thought. And it's really about finding ways to maximize the time that you do have.
So true. Yeah, even when my dad would do the same thing, and then when I started driving myself to school, he would go start my car like 5 minutes before I would leave, right, to, like, get it warmed up
Yeah.
in the winter, and it was just this nice gesture that made me feel like we were, spending time together even though he just ran out, kinda did that, went back to work, but it's like the effects were still there, and it did not take 10
Yeah.
hours, you know? It's just these
Right.
little moments that matter the most.
Absolutely. It shows that he was thinking about you and he cares.
Okay, so back to the question about your evolution and kind of your dad's impact in your growth. I know you didn't touch on this, but I personally know you, so I'm privy to this information. But you mentioned you're a fitness trainer and instructor, and you actually just moved to Austin to open up your own fitness studio. And for those of you in Austin, definitely go check out Boonda. It's incredible. So really, really exciting stuff. Your whole career has really been shaped and molded around fitness. And you told me that at a young age, your dad was actually the one who introduced you to fitness. Can you touch a little bit
100%.
on that? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my dad has always, again, going back to like making time for things when he really doesn't have the time. Growing up, he would be heading out the door to go to the gym at 10 p.m. every night. Like he has always made fitness a priority and has always really enjoyed it. And I mean, he shows it, he's very fit for his age. And like you go down in my basement gym at my house and it's all like 95-pound dumbbells. He's not messing around.
No.
Um, but when I'd say like late high school, early college, when I really first started to get into fitness, and he would take me to the gym with him, and he would tell me all about how to drink protein shakes after my workout and if I'm trying to build muscle and things like that. And um I saw how hard he worked in the gym and how it got him to look the way that he does, which is awesome. And I just kind of fell in love with it. It became an outlet for me, which I think it is also for him, after an extremely long day of work and I'm sure a lot of stress. Most people would be like, hell no, I'm not going to the gym at 10 p.m. Are you kidding me? I'm going to bed. But my dad, I think, he'd put on his headphones, listen to his classic rock, and I think he would kind of use it as an outlet and he would get a lot out of it. And it ended up becoming the same for me. And I think he's also just been very supportive of my journey and the risks that I've taken by pursuing something like fitness full time. It's by no means a traditional path or career, but he's always been extremely supportive and it's something that we bond over a lot. And yeah, I love that he's always been into fitness, and it's definitely a passion that we share together.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think that there's also so many lessons in that one story, including,
Mhm.
you should never have the excuse of not enough time, right?
Right.
If you care about something, you can make the time to do
Mhm.
that thing. And I think that that kind of lesson applies to everything in life. And there's a lot of, it's really easy to make excuses and
Yeah.
to not do something, but a lot of the times those things that you're avoiding are what's going to give you growth and reap lots of rewards, whether it's physical, mental, monetary. Like, there's so many benefits to carving out the time to do the things that are important. And so
Right.
that's one takeaway that I have from this story, but I think that you probably learned that from your dad in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and I also think it's remarkably important for a father to just take care of himself. And I think there are a lot of benefits to being in shape as a father, being able to play sports with your kids, throw them around. I mean, my dad would always be throwing us in the pool, lifting us up in the air. And, he's still doing that today. I have a nephew now. He has his first grandchild. And it's been really special seeing him in this new phase of life and having his first grandchild and how he interacts with him. It's just been amazing. And my dad, Papa, is my nephew's absolute favorite person. He will be at home just going, Papa, 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 because he wants to see my dad. And they live right down the street from my parents. So he'll be like, car, Papa, car, Papa. And if my sister says, like, no, like, Papa's not home or Papa's not around or like whatever, he will throw a tantrum like you wouldn't believe. And it's the cutest thing ever how much he
Oh,
loves my dad. And I'm not surprised at all.
yeah, that's so cute. Okay, well, jumping gears just a little bit, I wanted to chat about how, obviously life gets hard for everyone, but I think
Mhm.
for us daughters, it usually gets hard typically around like the teenage years or when we go off to
Oh, yeah.
college. Yeah.
Hmm.
So can you share a story or give an example of a time when you felt especially supported by your dad during maybe one of these more challenging times?
Yeah, absolutely. I think something that I always struggled with as I went through those wonderful growth years, whether it was like, late high school when I was a swimmer and I was really into swimming and struggled a lot with just my own self-doubt and just in general in life just being more of an insecure person growing up. My dad always knew that that's what I was struggling with, and I think to a lot of other people it came off differently. Like, I had coaches try and tell me that it seemed like I didn't care or I wasn't trying hard enough, or I would have, people tell me that I seemed cold or like unapproachable or things like that. And my dad was of course always there to listen when I had these things come up and worries, and he always knew that it was just my own insecurities getting the best of me. And he always found a way to talk me out of that. And whether it was, him talking about how he felt similar things when he was my age, or, telling me that I have absolutely nothing to be insecure about and other people are just jealous and, things like that. But um, he would always know what to say. And I think it was really just about him listening. And really, it goes back to him just truly understanding me, because he knew I didn't care. It was more that I cared too much. I cared too much what other people thought. Um, so he was always there to just coach me through those things and would teach me how. a mindset shift is everything, and you kind of control your own thoughts, and your thoughts control how you feel and how you act. And now it's like I'm adult, and like this is the shit they teach you in therapy and on podcasts, and and I'm like, my dad taught me that, 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I think that he really taught me to just not care so much what other people think and to just be confident in who I am.
Wow. Well, that's an amazing life lesson to learn early on. But another thing that
Yeah.
I'm hearing as you're saying that is that your dad listened and he paid attention. And
Yeah.
so, he could give life advice all day long, but if it's not the right advice or if it's not applicable to what you're going through, then it
Mhm.
doesn't, hit home as much, right? And so
Right.
it seems to me like your dad was always paying attention to how you were reacting, how you were feeling, what was bothering you, and really was curious about who Halle was and like
Right.
how he can support you versus maybe your sisters who might have had different, situations
Right.
that and insecurities or problems or bothering,
Yeah.
moments or whatever. So that's what I love when you tell me that story. I love to hear that because it just goes to show you that he showed up and he paid attention. And because he did that, he was able to offer tailored advice that really hit home with you.
Right. It definitely wasn't any cookie cutter, go get him, tiger, or anything like that. Like he really knew what I was feeling before I knew what I was feeling. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that was, yeah, that's really special. It's like a talent of his.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's intuition and
Yeah.
that's hard to teach too, He's clearly got some innate capabilities. So I
Yeah.
love to hear that. Okay, so from your perspective, from the daughter perspective, what do you think your dad has done to really make your relationship so strong? I'm sure it's multiple things, but
Yeah.
if you could just touch on one or two.
Um, I think going back to quality time, um, my dad always went above and beyond when it came to quality time, whether it was, taking us to sporting events. And not only would he take us to the sporting events and be cheering and spending his entire day there, but he would be videotaping everything. And then before we knew it, he was putting together highlight reels of the entire team for our end of season banquet and things like that. And, I remember growing up, and anytime we had a school project, it was just as much his project as it was ours. Like he would get so creative. He would make it so fun. He would always help us, and he's really creative. He's just a creative person. Do you remember in middle school, did you ever have to make like dioramas
Yes.
where you'd have to like create like a 3D scene or something? I
Yeah.
think one of my favorite things that he helped me build was it was a log cabin. I think we were taught it was history. We were talking about like early settlers in America, and I think we were assigned with like different types of homes that people built, and mine was a log cabin. And we made the most beautiful log cabin out of Tootsie Rolls. And he would always find a way to make it so perfect and impressive and like make it light up or spin or like something crazy. And I would always be going into school so freaking proud and being like, this is my project. And even though my dad did most of it, but um he would just make everything fun and special. And I mean, that just goes back to the quality time thing. Just really making memories and moments, turning regular moments into just really impactful moments. And we had a lot of fun.
Oh, that's a great memory and it kind of theme in general, just like
Yeah.
taking moments, elevating them by making them special. And again, going back to knowing you and paying attention, like he knows what you care about and how to make something special, right?
Mhm.
And it's funny, I feel very similarly about my dad because he was an art and engineering double major. So he's very like creative, but also
Yeah.
technical. And so he's recently, or maybe he's always kind of been into kind of like woodworking, but recently he's been doing a lot more of it. And so I'm sitting here on my desk that my dad and I made
I
together, which is just,
know.
yeah, which is just so
I
cool because
haven't
it's
seen
like,
it yet, I don't
oh, it's
think.
beautiful. I'll send you a photo after this. But
I need to
I'm
see it.
I'm just so grateful for this memory that I have right in front of me that I get to use every
Awesome.
day, and also just him teaching me how to do this, all the layers of it. It was very time consuming. And then
I'm
we ended up
sure.
putting it, yeah, we put it on like a elevating desk. So we like have the legs that, move up and down, which is super nice
Oh my
too.
god, that's awesome,
So
Maddie.
that's his engineering, piece of it, right? He's got the art, which is the top, the
Yeah.
engineering legs. But no,
Oh
it's
my
just been
god.
so fun to do this project with him as an adult too. But same thing, like as kids, it's always these little moments and little projects
Yeah.
that they just make so special. I feel like when dads can just kind of like take a second and like get into the mindset of a child almost and just like
Yeah.
lean into like the fun and the funniness and all these things, you can elevate a moment.
Well,
You don't
not
have to be so
only
serious.
right, and not only that, but find ways to really maximize the things that you enjoy, the dad enjoys, and involve your child. Like your dad obviously enjoys doing things like building a desk from scratch. Like it's a fun, exciting project for him. So finding ways to just involve your daughter in things that you might enjoy that also can benefit her and involve her.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I always teach this too because I think it's so important that dads are happy and
Yeah.
they can do what they love and then just include their daughter to be part of it. It's a win-win because happier dads naturally make better fathers. And then also you have an opportunity to bring your daughter into something you love. Maybe she'll love it too. Maybe you'll
Right.
make a great memory out of it. It's
Right.
just, yeah, no, it's so important to continue doing things you love and find ways to include your children. But on this
Yeah,
topic, we're
I
talking
mean,
about
I
daughters.
absolutely just sharing your passions with her. It may not land at first, depending on her age, but share your passions with her. Share why they're your passions. Like, for example, my dad, when he would drive us to school every morning or be driving us to swim meets or volleyball or whatever, he would always be playing his classic rock. And um, in the car, and we would, half the time we'd be like, "Dad, turn this off. It's so annoying." Blah blah blah. Um, but he would really try and go out of his way to find songs that he would think we would like, that he loved, and try and bond with us over it. And sometimes it would land, and we would find songs that we all really enjoyed. And now that my sisters and I are all older, we all have such a deep appreciation and love for classic rock. And it's like,
Hmm.
thanks, Dad. It's like I was exposed to all this really cool music and I know and love it now. And I'm happy that he shared that with us at such a young age.
Oh, yeah, no, I could not agree more. Actually, when I studied abroad in Australia, we were gone for 6 months, missing our family a lot. And me and one of my roommates, Kit, we put together a playlist called the Dad Playlist. And it was just all our classic rock songs that our dads, introduced us to when we were young girls. And so
The best
sometimes
vibes.
the best vibes. It was so fun. And we would put that on, and it was like almost like you felt closer to your parents, your dad specifically, when you were listening to it. And it made you like not miss home as much. And so it was
Yeah.
really special. And yeah, couldn't agree more on the classic rock piece and
I love
just
that.
being grateful for that. Yeah. So fun. So when I interviewed dads for the Girl Dad book, I found a lot of them had teenage daughters who were kind of pulling away a little bit and they were concerned about their changing relationship. So, do you mind sharing how your relationship with your dad has evolved over time?
Yeah. Well, I was definitely a tricky teenager. I think I was a tricky kid.
You're the middle
I was
child. What do you expect?
I had I still do. I've always had bad middle child syndrome, and God bless my parents. Um, but, I think one thing is, my dad never held grudges. Like, he would never hold a grudge for me lashing out, saying something I didn't mean. He was always incredibly patient. And I think it's important for all dads to understand that that's such a unique time in a woman's life or girl's life where they're going through a lot of changes in their body that make things just feel not so fun. You're just have more of a tendency to lash out, and just the little girl who was so sweet a few years ago is all of a sudden, this crazy tantrum throwing kid who's maybe saying hurtful things. Um, but my dad always made sure to just be so patient. And, if something to him, it's like I'm obviously going through something. And sometimes it would be as simple as him just leaving me a little note or something if I was obviously going through something, just to say like, "Hey, I'm here for you, thinking about you, love you." Um, every if I was going through like a breakup or something when I was younger, he was always my Valentine and would always every
Oh.
year make sure he left Valentine's Day cards and treats for my sisters and I, which is just something so small that just makes such a big difference. And I think as I've gotten older, number one, I feel very guilty for being such a brat. But more so, I've just gained such a deeper respect and love for my dad and just everything that he's done for me. So obviously now our relationship is strong, and we're both adults now, so it's so different. Um, but just that level of respect has changed a lot on my end. And it's like now I'm really able to see, holy crap, he has done so much throughout the years and worked so hard to give my sister, my family, the life that we've had. And so, I think for all dads, it's just about being patient and making sure you let them know that you're there for them. And a lot of times it's not that they need a solution to whatever they're going through, but they just need to know that you're there for them. They need your support. And I think my dad was always good about that.
Yeah, no, I couldn't say any of that better. That was so powerful and so important for dads to hear, especially if they currently have teenagers and are feeling kind of that pull away or some of the tension
Yeah.
that the girl unfortunately brings. It is very, very normal for daughters to kind of pull away from their dads during that time because, all of a sudden there's like things that are awkward or, there's all these hormones, like you said. And
Right.
I think it's important for dads to remember that we're always the oldest we've ever been, and they are too, right? But, like,
Yeah.
in that moment, it's especially relevant because you're maybe only 14, but you feel really responsible and you feel
Yeah.
really independent. And so when you do these things, it's not necessarily like, because you really mean this or that. It's just like it's almost a way of trying to figure out where that independence lies and just express yourself in different ways. And so like you said, I think just being patient and showing up and being supportive is so important. And if there's a situation where she's not responding to your support or she doesn't want to hear from you or whatever, you mentioned the notes, and I think being a silent supporter is always a backup option. So that's where you can write her a little note and give it to her. And even if she gives you no reaction whatsoever, I guarantee that note had an impact on her. And, if she's going through a breakup, maybe figure out what her favorite ice cream is if you don't know it and just leave it outside of her door or
Yeah.
like a little treat outside and knock on it and leave if the communication isn't there and you just need to let her know that you're there for her. I mean, one thing my dad did that was kind of funny was, um, I had obviously gotten my period. We didn't really talk about
Hmm.
when it happened, but I was past that point and I was playing high school golf and he would always like get my golf bag ready, which was really cute. He would like stuff it with balls and make sure I have a glove and, maybe not teaching me responsibility. No, I'm kidding. He was just he was just there for me and I really appreciated it. And then he would be like, or there was this one time when I was leaving, he was like, by the way, like, in case of emergencies, like, check the bottom right pocket. And I was like, what? And I was like, what is he talking about? Emergencies? I was thinking, like, maybe there's a first aid kit. And he had put, like, some tampons in there. And I was just like,
Oh,
oh, like, thank you, and he did that without having to, like, maybe he felt awkward saying it or something like that. But it was really
yeah.
sweet because I felt his support without, a conversation around that support. So that's what I
Right.
kind of call like the silent supporter. Um, but yeah, no, I think that's so important just, during those teenage years to continue to show up for your daughter, to show support and to be patient because yeah, it's a tough time for us. And I mean, we could do a whole podcast episode just about the women's cycle, but
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I think like one takeaway for men of any age just to know is like there's on average like 1 week out of the month that we feel good. And so like
Yeah.
just take that, with whatever you want. But I think having patience goes a long way.
Yeah, and I really liked what you said. You you're the oldest you've ever been. And when you're 14, 15, 16, and you're feeling that new sense of maturity and independence, but you're also just still learning how the world works. And it's funny looking back and not realizing how good you had it when your dad was taking care of getting your golf bag ready. And, you know, so many things were taken care of. And I'm so grateful for that looking back. But it's like, it's funny because we didn't know how good we had it.
Oh yeah, you have this huge false sense of independence. It's like, oh, I can take care of myself. Meanwhile, yeah, my dad
Right.
is filling up my golf bag with all the golf balls. He's starting my car to make sure it's warm. Like, are
Yeah.
we really independent or are we being taken care of in so many ways and we're just young and like kind of naive to how grateful we should be, you know?
Yeah. I mean, and it's a blessing almost to be naive about that because we didn't have to experience what it was like to not have those things, to
Right.
not have that support. Um, so, my heart really goes out to people who don't feel like they have that level of support. Um, but you do have to remember, I think, as a dad, that it's going to take some time and maturity before they're able to really recognize and appreciate all that you're doing for them and have done, but it will come.
So
It will
true.
come in time.
So
Absolutely.
true. I think the older we get, the more grateful and understanding we are for
Yes.
everything that both parents, did, but especially all these little things that we're talking about that our dads did that had a huge impact on who we are today.
Right.
And even an impact on the incredible men that we're with. I mean, your husband, Rylan, is amazing, treats you absolutely incredible. Like, you are his world. And, I'm getting married in 2 months and I love my man. He is so good and he shows up for me the way that I need. And I think that that is a testament to, our fathers taking care of us and really setting a really, really high bar for what we want in a life
Yes.
partner.
I wanted to bring this up because if you have an amazing father, good luck when you're trying to find your future man because they have huge shoes to fill. I still tell this to Rylan all the time. I'm like, you got big shoes to fill, right? And he knows it. He knows it. But God, I pray for them because it's a lot. And I think, I'm grateful for what that taught me just navigating being a teenager and, my first relationships. And I'm kind of proud of myself because I did have high standards. And I feel like I was just given such a great example of a man and a partner and a husband. And yeah, they're just big shoes to fill. So I feel like I was able to kind of navigate if I felt like someone wasn't treating me the way I deserved. I mean, obviously, you're always going to be stuck in situations where, people might fail you or not treat you the way that you hoped they would. But I think it's a great example for not settling and just trying to find someone who can fill those shoes is a tough job. So props to our men for getting that job done. Holy shit.
Yes, and props to our dads for setting that bar super high. I think
Yeah,
that, that's a question that I get a lot from dads, and I'm sure most men are curious, like, how do I, protect my daughter and make sure that she dates someone who's right for her and all these things. And I think really the number one thing that you can do is lead by example and just set that bar high by the way that you
yeah,
treat your daughter and the way that you treat your spouse. Because we are sponges as kids. Like, we pick up on
absolutely.
all the little things. Yeah. And we want to see the way that you're treating, mom or your spouse, and also just all those little things that you do for us, that becomes somewhat of an expectation moving forward. And so,
Right.
if you're heating up our cars and, treating us like ladies, then that's who we're going to naturally look for in a man. And
Yeah,
obviously it's not a perfect science, but there's so much out there that shows, the relationship between father and daughter has impacts in dating. Like that's like the number one impact for women moving forward. So, yeah, just set the bar high. Just treat her the way that you would want a man to treat her. Um, and yeah, I think that you and I, Halle, are great examples of that and the outcome. So
but let's not forget, it takes time to get there. So dads have to be ready
absolutely.
for her heart to be broken a couple times, but it's not going to be the right guy until it's the last guy,
Yes. Yes.
and she's got to go through some of that stuff to learn what she deserves. And
Yeah.
part of that is she's learned from her father, but she'll start to see in people like, okay, this is, I deserve better. And that's thanks to the dad for giving her
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
intuition.
So true. I actually just had this conversation. I was talking to my little sister and my dad, and we were kind of reflecting on past relationships. And I was kind of going through and, talking about, this guy, he was great for this, but there was this, that was a little bit short of what I wanted or whatever it is. And we
Mhm.
had this really mature conversation about like exes and lessons learned and life paths and how we are here
Yeah.
today, with my fiance because of all these past experiences, and
Mhm.
just like being grateful for everything that has led us to where we're at, right? But also recognizing that even in, failed relationships or difficult and challenging relationships, there were opportunities for lessons learned. And just because,
Absolutely.
like you said, yeah, just because we went through those doesn't mean that our dads failed us or that they didn't set a good example. It's really,
No, right.
yeah, it's just it's all part of life path and like learning lessons and getting to where we need to be. So,
All part of the process.
yes, exactly. Well, on that note, I love to end every episode with some gratitude and some advice. And I just think that gratitude is extremely important in life, but especially when it comes to having healthy relationships. And it's important that for us to all take some time to think about, different qualities and actions that we are grateful for in others. And so, with that said, what is one thing that you want to thank your dad for?
Oh gosh, one thing I want to thank him for everything. Um, God, I just I just want to thank him for giving me this incredible life that I've been so blessed to live, having such an amazing childhood, always believing in me and empowering me to just be the best version of myself and teaching me so much about life and work ethic and all the things and just being such an incredible role model, truly. Like, I think at the end of the day, like, that's the ultimate thing that he is just the best role model that I could have ever asked for.
Oh, so sweet. And then what is one piece of advice that your dad has given you?
Um, Definitely to believe in myself and not care so much about what others think and to just be confident.
It's a great lesson.
Yeah.
And then let's close out today with you providing some advice for the dads out there who want to strengthen their bond with their daughters.
Ooh. Well, I think we talked about a lot of good advice. I think my number one goes back to that quality time thing. Quality over quantity. Make the time. If you don't have the time, find ways to make the little time that you do have very impactful. And find ways to really listen to your daughter and understand her. Truly understand her. Don't, not on a surface level. I'm not talking about her favorite ice cream flavor. I'm talking about what are her dreams, what are her fears, what are her wishes, what are her insecurities. Really try and understand her at that deeper level because that's going to make your relationship so much stronger.
Amen. Well, thank you, Halle. It was such a pleasure having you on today. And I know for a fact the dads out there are going to have so many takeaways from this episode. So thank you for all of your advice, all those amazing stories, and shout out to your dad for just being an incredible human and all of his actions and intention that has led you to having all of these stories and this conversation today.
Yeah, you should have him on.
I would love that. We'll get him on the pod.
He could probably talk about this stuff all day long.
Oh,
Well, thank you, Maddie. I'm so excited about what you're doing, and I am very grateful that I got to be a guest and talk about my amazing dad. And I hope all of you dads listening got something out of this episode and keep tuning into Girl Dad.
thanks so much. Thank you for tuning into Girl Dad, the podcast. If you found today's conversation helpful, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a fellow girl dad. I read every review and truly take your words to heart. To close out, remember, your intentional moments make lasting legacies. See you next week.